name's Ian and this is Alison. We work for a local educational charity called the Brentwood Schools Christian Worker Trust, which serves schools all around the Brentwood area. I wonder if you saw the recent news story about a young couple called Rachel and Liam. These two students had been playing the Euro Millions lottery for 5 weeks in a row, using the same numbers each week. And Rachel had set up her bank account to buy a lottery ticket automatically every Friday. On the 6th week, all 7 of their numbers came up, and they began to celebrate winning the jackpot prize of £182 million. But when Rachel called up to claim this life-changing prize, she discovered that her ticket purchase that day hadn't gone through because she didn't have enough money in her bank account to pay for the £2.50 lottery ticket. Afterwards, Liam described their reaction when they found out that they hadn't actually won. He said, "I'd kind of spent the money in my head already. I was already picturing our dream house and the dream car. I was absolutely heartbroken."
I'm sure most of us at one point or another have asked or been asked the question, if you won the lottery or if you were given millions of pounds, what would you spend it on? Past lottery winners have spent their money on all sorts of interesting things, including a whiskey factory, a pair of new knees, a flock of sheep, and even some land on the planet Mars. Whatever our response to that question, our answer probably reveals something about us. But I wonder how many of us would do what Tom Chris did after winning the Canadian lottery a few years ago. Having won over £20 million, he donated all of it to various cancer charities in memory of his wife who had died of cancer. He said, "You feel good when you can do something, when you can help a family out that needs help. You can't help the whole world, but we're going to help as many people as we can."
In a part of the Bible called the Book of Acts, the story is told of a time when a man called Paul, sometimes known as St. Paul, was saying goodbye to a group of friends in the Greek city of Ephesus. As part of his farewell speech, he said these remarkable words: "I have shown you that by working hard we must help the poor and weak, remembering the words of Jesus, there is more happiness in giving than in receiving." There's more happiness in giving than receiving? Really?
Now, before you dismiss that, thinking that can't possibly be true, let me tell you about Elizabeth Dunn and Michael Norton, professors of psychology and marketing respectively, who wrote a book together called Happy Money. In that book, they describe an experiment they did in which they gave a large group of volunteers $5 American each. That's a bit less than £5. Half of the group were told to spend the money by getting something for someone else, a cup of coffee or some other little gift of some sort. And the other half were told to spend the money by getting something for themselves. At the end of the day, the professors surveyed the volunteers to measure how happy they felt. And the results showed that the people who had spent the money on somebody else reported feeling happier than those who'd spent the money on themselves. Perhaps it might just be true that there is more happiness in giving than in receiving.
The Bible tells another story of a time when Jesus was near the offering box at the temple in Jerusalem. He saw some rich people putting in large amounts of money. And then he saw a poor widow put in 2 very small copper coins. Jesus said to his followers, "This poor widow has put in more than all the others. They gave what they didn't need, but she is very poor and gave everything she had." Perhaps real generosity has less to do with how much we give and more to do with how much we're prepared to sacrifice for other people. And of course Jesus knew what it is to make sacrifices for others. At Easter time, billions of people around the world remember his sacrifice on a Roman cross, as well as the belief that he miraculously came back to life. The Bible puts it in this famous statement: "Greater love has no one than this, to give up one's life for one's friends." I very much hope that you and I won't ever be in a position where we might need to sacrifice our lives for others. But I wonder how you and I can give generously to other people today. Generosity isn't just about giving money, of course, but giving our time, our energy, our attention, an act of kindness, an encouraging word, a show of respect.
The story's told of a man who commuted to work by train. And on his walk from the station to the office, he would pass by an older man at the same spot every day with a cup in his hand, hoping that people would give him some change. Most passers-by ignored him, but the man walking to his office would always smile and say good morning, and sometimes drop a coin in his cup. Well, several years passed until the worker retired. On his last day, he told the older man that this would be his final day. In response, the older man shook his hand gratefully and thanked him for being the only one to say good morning to him every day. And he told the worker how much this had helped him to keep going, while so many others ignored him.
Perhaps you and I can also find ways to make small sacrifices, to give ourselves for the benefit of others. As Winston Churchill once said, "We make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give." Let's give generously. Thanks very much for watching.